Alright, here we go, geometry. Last lesson of the chapter. Last lesson of chapter. Or Little Caesars. We're going to talk about slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. When I opened this, I realized I made a little bit of boo-boo, so we'll go to the next page. Before we go on, I do have a serious note. I'm supposed to warn you guys, there's a dangerous star on the loose. And you guys know what the most dangerous kind of star is. A shooting star. Okay. So let's talk about slopes of parallel lines. Remember this little symbol? If two non-vertical lines are parallel, then their slopes are equal. Okay, so if M1 equals M2, your slopes don't, or your lines will never cross because they have the same rise and run. Hence, they will be parallel. Okay. Now, if the slopes of two distinct non-vertical lines are equal, then the lines are parallel. Same thing. Any two vertical lines or horizontal lines are parallel because horizontal looks like that, vertical like that. Their slopes are either going to be undefined or 0, hence they're all going to be equal, hence they shall be parallel so you can drive trains on without them crashing. Okay, I'm not going to draw the explosion. I'm sorry. Okay, well. Okay. Checking to see if lines are parallel. You can't just look at them and say, oh, they look like they don't cross. If you do it that way, I never want you building my house or building train tracks because we know what would happen. So how do we tell if two lines are parallel? Easy. You have to find the slopes of both the lines. So L1 slope is going to be equal to, when we look at L1, we have the point negative 1, 5. So I'm going to go 5, negative 1, minus, minus. I have the point 2, negative 4. So I'm going to go 5 minus 4. Y minus y over negative 1 minus 2. Okay, 5 minus negative 4. Those become positive. I get 9. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. Reduce this guy, and you get your slope is negative 3. Okay. Now let's find L2 slope. Okay. So I have the point negative 3, 3. So I'm going to go 3 minus over negative 3 minus, again, y over x. And I have the point negative 1, negative 4. So 3 minus negative 4. Negative 3 minus negative 1. Those become positive. I get 7. Okay. Negative 3, those become positive. 7 over 2 over negative 2, so it's negative, which is equal to negative 3.5. So these lines are these slopes equal? No, not parallel. I'm happy we checked this because these kind of look like they're parallel, but it turns out they aren't. There would have been a train explosion here at the end. Okay, so find the slopes. If slopes are equal, they are parallel. If slopes are equal, they are parallel. I'm going to roll out the curtain for you guys with my happy color. Okay. That is a happy look. What's the equation of the line parallel to y equals negative 3, negative 5 that contains the point negative 1, 8? Okay. So we have to think and write. First thing we got to think of, we got to find that slope. First thing we always have to do when we write the equation line, you got to find that slope. Because that's what distinguishes it from other lines. So, we find the slope. Well, what's the slope? The slope is going to be negative 3. You know the slope, and we're going to have a point. So we're going to use point slope form, which looks like y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And we substitute our negative 3 in for our m. And we're going to substitute the point negative 1 an, and none of these become positive, and hence we're done. That's our equation. Okay, so the only difference between this one we did before is that they don't straight up tell you these are the 2 points. It's here's a line, tell us one that's parallel to it. Well, this one's slope is 3. Bada boom, bada bing, you got an answer. Alright guys, let's talk about perpendicular lines. Now perpendicular, a lot of people get thrown off by this one. If two non-vertical lines are perpendicular, then the product of their slopes is negative 1. Okay? That means, for example, if one line slope is 1/4, the others will have to be negative 4, because 1/4 times negative 4 is negative 1. Okay? So you flip it and take the negative. You do 2 things to it, guys. You do 2 things to it. Okay, and this one's gimme. Any vertical and horizontal lines are perpendicular. Those don't have slopes, so you can't multiply anything to it. 0 times undefined is, I think it would create a black hole if you tried to do it, so don't even try. Let's take a look. Actually, I want to give one more example. So, let's say you had a slope was 3/4. The line perpendicular to it would be, we'll call it MP for negative 4/3. You flip it and you take the negative. 2 things to do to it, guys. 2 things. I keep spitting on my computer screen. I'm getting so worked up about this. Okay, checking for perpendicular lines. Again, all we gotta do is find the slope of these 2 guys and see what happens. So L1, I'm going to take the point negative 4, 2, and go 2 minus something over negative 4 minus something. Again, always start with those x or those y's first. On top, x on the bottom. I'm going to take the point 0, negative 4. I'm going to go 2 minus negative 4 over negative 4 minus 0. That becomes positive, so you get 6 over negative 4, which I'm going to reduce this to get negative 3/2 is my slope of line L1. So let's look at L2. Okay. Start with that 0.43. 3 minus something over 4 minus something. Grab the point negative 5, negative 3. So it's going to be 3 minus negative 3. Y is on top. X is on the bottom. It becomes positive. So I get 6. It becomes positive over 9. Which when I reduce it, I get 2/3. And I got to ask myself, is negative 3/2 reciprocal 2/3? Yes. And to verify that, please write this, guys. This will probably come up. Negative 3/2 times 2/3 equals, cancel, 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 negative 1. Hence, they are perpendicular. Okay. Eureka. If they do not multiply to be negative 1, your slopes, it's not perpendicular. Last slide of the chapter, guys. What is the equation for the line perpendicular to y equals negative 3x minus 5 that contains the point negative 3, 7? So first, what's my current slope? Well, my current slope is negative 3, right? So to find the perpendicular slope, it's going to be negative 1 over my m. It's going to be negative 1 over negative 3, which is going to equal 1/3. Is going to be my slope of my new line. Okay, second, I got to plug it into my point slope formula, because I have a point and slope. Y minus y1 is my slope, which I know is 1/3, times x minus x1. So I'm going to grab this point and plug it in. So get y minus 7 equals 1/3 times x minus -3. Which what happens when you subtract a negative? Comes positive. And we're done. And that was chapter 3, you guys. Clap your hands. We're done with it. But don't forget, that means there's going to be a test soon. Enjoy.